She was born and raised in the beautiful, gorgeous island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. She's passionate about seeing people become free, live happily, and free from emotional baggage. She's got some 15 years experience as a clinical professional, driven with faith, empowerment, purpose, service, encouragement, and teaching. She is definitely encouraged or believes that everyone is encouraged and ignited and plays a role in making that happen. So, Bawindi, thank you for being with us, and please share your presentation with us.
Thank you for having me here. I'm so honored to be here. So the topic for today is finding balance in imbalance. This is a perfect time to have this conversation, especially with everything imbalance that's going on in our world today and everything that you may have experienced in 2020. So by the end of this presentation, I am hoping that, number one, you have an invitation to continue your own reflection, and the reflection will need to continue after this conversation because that helps you with your own self-awareness. Number two, to reiterate the importance of our values. Our values drive what we do and why we do what we do. Number three, to reiterate the importance of being attentive to our needs. And number four, to hopefully learn a way to find what balance means for you and maintain that. So I really thank you in advance for being participatory, because I'm going to ask you to be engaged. So pictures have a way of communicating lots of words. So when you see this picture, I'm going to move this. I don't know if y'all could see. When you see this picture, 2020, right? What a year that it's been. When you see this picture, what resonates with you? Pictures have a way of communicating loss. Is it the sticky notes, the multiple sticky notes that reminds you of all the tasks that you're running out of time to complete? Is it the sad face that represents some of the emotions that you may have experienced in the previous year and even currently? Is it the gaze or the stare into the computer screens as we were forced to work online, virtually? Is it the overflowing trash can that represents the multiple household tasks that may have gotten neglected? Is it the lack of hygiene or even our own self-care needs being neglected? What in this picture represents or resonates with you? And feel free, anybody sees anything, feel free to chime in.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, absolutely, absolutely. That's a very common. Say it again.
Up at 1:25 in the morning trying to do stuff.
Yes. A lot of us.
She's tired. She's working at 1:30 in the morning.
Absolutely. This picture. Yes. Yes. Depression. Absolutely. Low energy. Just kind of walking around, just having no energy, no motivation, feeling very overwhelmed, as you already said. So this one picture says a whole lot. You were about to say something, Kurt?
She needs a vacation.
She does need a vacation, absolutely. So as I have this picture up, I cannot move forward without taking a moment to just recognize and honor the loss. A lot of you may have experienced losses in the previous year. Maybe you personally experienced a loss, or maybe you know someone who experienced a loss. 2020 was a very hard year for a lot of people. So I want to take a moment and just honor you and just let you know how much I'm sending you lots of love, lots of kindness, and let you know that I am so sorry for the losses that you've experienced. So let's talk about balance. What is it? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? What comes to mind? See, the word balance really is subjectively defined, right? It means something different for each person. It indicates that there is some sort of stability, that there's some sort of normalcy, or something is steady, right? But what does it mean to you? So in your own homes, I want you to draw an image that represents balance to you. What did that look like for you? How did you feel when you experienced balance? See, not everybody's story was filled with hurt and pain. For some, 2020 was a year filled with good news, filled with amazing news, or great opportunities. a time to launch something, start something new, expand their business, etc., move into a bigger home, etc., or even declutter their home or downsize their home. But balance, the thing about balance, it is the right amount of anything, quality, that leads us, that leads you and myself to a place of harmony, whether that relates to spiritually or relationally, financially, emotionally. So it's not so much it's not about indulgence, but it's the right amount of quality that allows you to have stability, which is why I said it is completely subjectively defined. Only you can know what balance means to you. So I saw this quote and I really love this quote. Life is all about balance. You don't always need to be getting stuff done. Sometimes it's perfectly okay and absolutely necessary to just shut down, kick back, and do nothing. Sometimes we place so many self-imposed expectations and pressures. And sometimes we need to just take a moment and exhale, take a moment and just be. And sometimes we don't know how to do that because we've been caretakers all our lives. Even when we were children, we were caretakers. We were taking care of mama, making sure grandma was okay, taking care of other things. But there are times when we need to just recognize what we need in this moment. So balance is the foundation for all things related to stress management and navigating through emotions. There's a lot of emotions. A lot of times you've probably heard people say life throws lemons, and it's up to us to make lemonades out of those lemons, right? And balance is necessary also for how we carry out and live through or by our values. Balance allows us to make room for what's important. What are our priorities? See, Ed's priorities may be different from Joe's priorities. My priorities are different from your priorities. But it's important for us to take note. And it's important for us to allow ourselves to be still so we can take note of what those priorities are. The other thing is balance allows us to promote, or it promotes healthy interactions. A lot of times we tell ourselves that we have to do this. We have to do it now. We have to do it this way. And we don't leave room for flexibility. We don't leave room to experience balance in our lives. So I want you to take a look at this image. Several bubbles that represent, I know it's pretty tiny. There's a time to relax and play. There's a time, whatever spiritual connection means to you, emotional health, relationship with self and others. And I know that last year, a lot of that was affected because we had to be at home. Professional growth, taking time to challenge ourselves and energize ourselves, taking time to make sure that we're focusing on our physical health. See, all those things are necessary to help us to thrive, but having balance does not mean that we perfectly are doing these things all the time. It doesn't mean that we're doing all of these things perfect. Nobody has perfect balance. But it does mean that we are prioritizing and we're looking for what do I need? When was the last time that I allowed myself to take a walk? When was the last time that I took a mental health day to just bake or do nothing or take a bath and listen to jazz music and light a candle? When was the last time that I allowed myself to just do a Zoom and play a game through Zoom, or maybe play filling charades with my grandchildren? Something that allows me to be energized, something that even now, allowing kudos to you, because my professional growth, even in this moment, is a form of allowing yourself to get a dose of some balance. Okay, so we have to be able to recognize when our cups are empty, when we feel depleted, because no matter whether you are a mental health worker or a real estate agent or an insurance agent, no matter what business you work, none of us can pour out of an empty cup. But we have to pay attention to when our cups are empty. We have to be the ones that pay attention to when we feel depleted, because that is a counter. It doesn't allow us to experience balance. It actually threatens our balance. So let's talk about what threatens balance. What threatens balance? So worrying. When you look at this list, negative thought patterns. Sometimes we are so negative. We say things like, I can't do this. I'm unworthy. I'm inadequate. I don't deserve this. I'm never going to get better. It's always going to be bad. Our limiting beliefs. staying in fear versus being afraid. There's a difference with experiencing fear. Experiencing fear is normal. It's a normal reaction. But staying afraid, that's a choice. That's a choice. Overly anxious could threaten our balance. Lack of boundaries. Boundaries, let me just park there for a second. There are many times where when people say yes to everything and everybody, they're ultimately saying no to themselves. There has to be a point where we ask ourselves, if I keep saying yes to these things or yes to these people, what is my yes going to cost me? Is my yes going to cost me my sleep, my rest, my peace, my finances or my resources, my relationships with my loved one? Am I constantly telling myself that I need to do these things? I need to rescue them. I need to save them. If I don't do it, it won't get done. You know the things that we say. But these are the things that can threaten our balance. Lack of routines. We need routines. We need routines. Lack of support. Pessimistic. Have you ever met somebody, you say good morning, and they say, ain't nothing good about it, right? Pessimistic. That pessimistic point of view, nothing is that threatens our balance. Overly consumed with the media and news, and I know that y'all can relate to that. Other things that could threaten our balance: grief, pain. Grief and pain. If we're experiencing grief, we have to honor ourselves and honor our grief and recognize, what do I need in this moment? How can I make sure that I'm capable of meeting my needs? What supports can I surround myself with? How can I surround myself with kindness and allow myself permission to grieve? You notice I said permission to grieve. And grief doesn't always mean the love of a loved one. I talked to someone recently and she was just on my heart, and I just wanted to call and check on her to just say, hey, how you doing? You thought you're on my mind. Not knowing that she had just experienced the loss of her dog. Her dog had been with her for years, was a shadow for so many years. That is grief. Grief can be the loss of a job, the loss of a relationship, the loss of a dream. A lot of people, 2020 for them represented grief. And even at the beginning of 2021, a lot of grief. Especially having to work with so many people, and you notice that we don't get the camaraderie anymore. We're not in the office anymore. That is grief. What else can threaten? Also basic needs. If someone has so many financial stresses that they don't even see their way out and they can't even meet their needs, they don't know when they're going to get their lights paid, they're not going to think about self-care. They want to survive. They need their bills paid. That can threaten balance. But these are some of the things that can threaten balance. But what promotes balance? I want to definitely end on a positive note. These are things that are protective factors, right? Protective factors are factors that help to promote our resiliency, because as you know, you probably heard the saying, life is about 20% of what happens to us and 80% of how we respond to that. And these are the things that helps us to become resilient, that no matter what happens, those factors in our lives can help us to promote our balance. So things like healthy diets and lifestyle, support. Let me go back to healthy diets and lifestyle. Being able to incorporate some type of exercise, or eating whole fruits and vegetables, or eating healthy protein, drinking clean water, you would be surprised, and maybe you wouldn't. Those things can help impact balance in our lives, even if things are going on around us. Taking moments to breathe, taking moments to stretch, taking moments to enjoy, taking moments to laugh. Laughter is a medicine, right? Healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries, healthy boundaries. Being able to assert your needs, being able to say, I can't do that right now. I can't commit to this right now. And being able to do that without feeling like you need to have an excuse. Being assertive, as I said earlier, faith, whatever that means to you. It's hard to be hopeful without faith. Mm-hmm. Optimism, purpose, knowing what your purpose is for your life, so that we don't get lost in what other people think our expectations are for us. Have these factors in your life. You, as you said, you get to safeguard. It's almost like you build a fence that no matter what's happening out here, you're not gonna throw my balance, because I've decided that my balance is a non-negotiable. I've decided that these things in my life become non-negotiable so that I can continue to thrive as an entrepreneur. I can continue to thrive as a husband or as a wife, as an auntie, as a grandma. I can be with my loved ones and they don't get the now, don't get me wrong, there are days where we are not in our best selves, and that happens, but we have to know what we need when those things happen. So finding anybody, what you were about to say, what are my values? Do I value peace? And what decisions am I making to align with my values? That helps to promote balance. Because if I'm making decisions that don't align with my values, then I'm living in conflict. There's something off. If I value, as Troy said, if I value healthy eating and I value wellness, but I focus on eating things or drinking things that don't make me feel good, then there's a conflict there. There's a conflict there. So when it comes to finding our balance, again, we have to connect to our why. When was the last time you asked yourself, what is my why? Because our why is not determined by what's happening around us. Our why is not determined by other people. So taking time, that's why I said earlier, I would extend the invitation for you to enjoy some reflection. Get a journal. I know it's been a while probably since you got a journal, but get a journal. Talk to your significant other. What is my why? Again, setting those boundaries. I go back to those boundaries. How is my yes, or what is my yes costing me? Living with intention. That's one of my favorite words. We cannot have balance unless we are intentional. Intentional about what we need, intentional about how to make sure those needs are met, intentional about the people that we spend time with. If I'm around people that are toxic, and sometimes, yes, the toxicity is within our families. And we can't, I wish we could choose them, but we can't. But sometimes the toxicity is within our families, but really choosing, wait a second, you know what? I got to get off the phone. If you have people in your life that are dumping things on you, or it's not reciprocal, every time they call, you say, good morning, how are you? They have all the things that have happened in the last 6 years of their life, and they want to tell it to you. They keep you on the phone. You only had 30 minutes, but then you looked up, you've been on the phone an hour, and it was them talking for 50 minutes about all the things. Now, hear me clearly. There is a time and place for everything. Checking our own mindsets. Creating space to take care of ourselves. Giving yourself permission to grieve when you need to, or rest when you need. Recognizing that, you know what? I need a mental health day. I need the half of the day. I need to go hike. I need to be by myself, and that's okay. Some of you may recharge with people. Some of you may also recharge alone. But you have to know that for yourself so that you can find balance for you. Does that make sense? So focusing on what you can control and giving yourself the grace to be able to let go of the things, you know what, I can't control that. What can I focus on? Staying connected connecting to things or people that keep you grounded, whatever that is to you, whether it's going golfing, whether it's being in the sauna. Well, I don't think that's available right now. Whether it's being with people or being with your pets or being with your loved ones, whether it's prayer or faith or affirmations or meditation, whatever that is for you. Redefine productivity. Now that's super important because sometimes we think productivity means I need to accomplish the 16 tasks on my to-do list. What if productivity means accomplishing the 5 tasks out of the 16? Redefining what are things that I need to do versus I feel like I have to do. And also asking yourself, who told me that I have to do this right now? Who told me that I have to do it all right now? Who told me that? Most times when we ask ourselves the question, who told me that? We'll notice we told ourselves that. We place these self-imposed pressures on ourselves. Scheduling time to disconnect. And again, noticing your habits and also practicing gratitude. I cannot stress how much gratitude helps to improve our mindset, improve our health, helps to change our mood, uplift, it inspires us, it gives us the energy to keep going, but it also helps to energize us, right? To be able to continue to find balance. So expressing a gratitude is very, very important. The other thing I want to say about habits is habits, I don't know if you have heard this, but habits are the stepping stones. So when we think about balance, let me go back just a tad bit. When we think about balance, habits are the stepping stones to help us to become the people that we desire to become. So let's say you desire to be a person who values wellness, or a person who enjoys reading. It's not about the goal per se, but it's about the small, simple habits that allow me to get to meeting the goal. See, a goal without a plan is a recipe for failure. So what small habits can I make every single day? So maybe today that looks like I'm just going to read for 5 minutes. Or I'm going to read 10 pages a day. And before you know it, the habits over time will allow you to be able to achieve or even maybe exceed the goal. So noticing the habits that we are adopting, because the habits that we are adopting can either maintain balance or threaten our balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah.
So it's important to really look at, okay, how am I feeling? That's where the intentionality comes in. Wait a second, I'm feeling kind of off. I feel my energy is low. Of course, we need to rule out anything medical first, but then our bodies, we are all made of spirit, soul, and body, right? So if we know that medically everything's fine, well, what's going on? Why do I feel so off? Why do I feel so sluggish? What am I eating? What are my habits? When was the last time I stretched? When was the last time I exercised? When was the last time I read something stimulated or challenging to my thoughts? When was the last positive conversation I had? When was the last time I sang a song or a lullaby or laughed? Right? I go back to laughing. Y'all can probably tell I laugh a lot. But when was the last time I did that? Because here's the thing, the pandemic is not a reason or an excuse why we cannot take care of ourselves. Right. Regardless of imbalance around us, we are responsible for how we choose to find balance. So I hope there was something you heard to kind of help you find your own balance. What helps is the mindset that we employed. Waking up in the morning with optimism and hopefulness. Focus on being present on what's most important and just noticing that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. If anybody wants to get this book, this is a book that you can get on Amazon, the A to Z Self-Care Handbook for Other Helping Professionals, as well as this is my contact information. I do have a podcast, so you're welcome to subscribe as well. And thank you so much for having me.